అందరికీ చెప్పు గాదలింగ్ అట్లే స్టార్టింగ్
ఇప్పుడే
ఆఫ్ అయిపోయింది అట్లా అయిపోయా అట్లా అంటే మళ్ళీ ఆన్ అయ్యి
ఇది పోయేది ఎట్లా అని
ఈ పైన ఇట్లా అంటే మళ్ళీ ఆన్ చేసి హలో ఓకేనా
Good afternoon, dear students. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining. Very good. Now you listen to the class. Today, I teach you Mulkraj Anand's untouchable novel. There are three great personalities in Indian writing in English, particularly in writing fictional works. They are called Big Trio. They are R.K. Narayan, Mulkraj Anand, and Raja Rao. Their way of treating issues they see differs from one another. Mulkraj Anand always focuses his attention on deprived community or downtrodden people. His novels and short stories center around the people who are less privileged or who are have-nots. Having observed entire Indian society clinically, he projects the suffering of people in a systematic manner. His novel Untouchable was published in the year 1935. The novel centers around one day in the life of Bakka, a young sweeper living in Bulasha town. Bulasha is a fictional town of Mulkraj Anand, whereas Malgudi is a fictional town of R.K. Narayan. The story is so simple. The story certainly brings our emotions out and we respond to the emotions of Bakka. He is the principal character and he is an outcast or an untouchable, a member of a lower caste in the traditional Hindu society. You know, untouchables are born into the caste and confined to a menial works of higher caste people. These low caste people before independence generally are subjected to lot of torture and compelled to do menial works in the higher caste people. Their suffering is immense. Sometimes they find it difficult to lead a life and they are satisfied with what they get from rich community. This caste system was more prevalent before independence, and the suffering of people belonging to this lower caste people as unimaginable. So Mulkraj Anand always sides with that kind of people and projects all their suffering, all their emotions in his fictional works in a manner that attracts the entire world. Bakka awakes to his father's yelling at him to get out of bed and begin work cleaning the lavatories of highest caste people. Bakka, being a child, woken up by his father to do the menial work, that means cleaning the lavatories. Bakka is continuously doing this work, continuously doing this work. Sometimes he supports his family with his works. The amount he gets from the menial work brings a ray of hope to his family. He One day he cleans the latrine of Charat Singh, a high caste athlete. One day he goes to the house of Charat Singh, who is popularly known as an athlete belonging to a rich community. In return, Charat Singh promises Bukka a hockey stick as a reward, as a remuneration. Charat Singh wants to give hockey stick to Bakka. After completing the work at Charat Singh's house, Bakka returns home being completely tired, feeling so thirsty, and meets his sister. His sister, Sohini, also performs her domestic work, brings water, fetches water from her communal well. Unfortunate thing in the village is that she has to wait at the well for a long time to get that water. And the local priest, known as Kalinath, asks her to clean the temple. And she obeys and cleans the temple. After some time, Bakka enters Balasha town to start sweeping the roads. Accidentally, he touches the feet of high caste man. Now, what happens? This high caste man feels so furious, so angry, that he has been touched by a low caste man like Bakka. Low caste man Bakka. And then, when this controversy is going on between Bakka and high caste man, a Muslim vendor enters and resolves the issue. Then Bakka slowly and steadily moves towards the temple, where he finds his sister accusing priest. Then he comes to know that local priest Kalinath sexually assaulted his sister. Unable to do anything, he sends his sister home and starts completing the remaining work at the temple. After completing the assigned task in the temple, Bakka wanders in the streets and tries to perform menial works just for the sake of food only. You can easily understand how injustice was meted out to the poor people or outcast people or lower caste people in Indian society. The life of Baka is a clear indication of dominant attitude of rich communities or higher caste people towards the poor people, towards the low class people. Returning home, he informs his father about the behavior, the cruel nature of rich man who had bitter were words with him. Then, to pacify Bakka, his father reveals that Bakka, once you were very ill, at the time you were saved by a doctor belonging to a rich community or higher caste community. This sentence clearly indicates the attitude of Bakka's father. Bakka's father wants to remove hatred increasing in the heart of Bakka against high caste people. Then Bakka attends the wedding of his friend's sister. While interacting with his friends or while conversating with his friends, he informs his friends the cruel, inhuman attitude of high caste man against him. Then his friends ask Bakka, if you want to take revenge over him. He considers it for a while to take the revenge, but he drops down from that plan as it severely affects his family. Then he remembers the promise made by Charat Singh, an athlete, about the hockey stick. Then he remembers and goes there to get it. Singh, that means Charat Singh invites Bakka in, allowing Bakka to touch his possessions, a transgression of tradition that moves Bakka. His new hockey stick in hand, Bakka joins a game of street hockey that quickly devolves into a brawl. He takes the hockey stick from that athlete and he wants to practice in the streets. Unfortunately, his hockey, once he starts playing hockey in the streets, it has not turned out to be a game. It turned out to be a big war, a big duel. When he returns home bruised and upset, his father is furious. Bakka has gone all afternoon. When he returns home, what happens? His father becomes very angry. Where have you been for a long time? What have you done outside the house? Why do you feel so tired? Like that, as a father, he puts quite number of questions. His father was not convinced with his answers. So he throws Bakka out of the house. Now Bakka has become homeless, has become penniless, with a empty stomach, with dirty attires, dirty clothes, and he doesn't know what to do to make his life happy, to make his life meaningful, to get identity to his life. So many questions are flashing in his minds. So he moves out of the house and takes shelter under a tree. He is physically disgusted, mentally disgusted. He has lost hope and he doesn't know what to do next. Then he finds a white man, Colonel Hutchison, coming towards him. He is head of local Salvation Army. Then conversation takes place between them. Then Colonel Hutchison invites Bakka to church. Then Bakka moves towards the church. But what happens, when Hutchison's wife finds Bakka along with her husband, she becomes very furious and says, "Why do you bring another blackie to their church?" Then, feeling greatly insulted, Bakka leaves them. He wanders again and again in the streets, nowhere to go and what to do next. Moves towards the railway station and finds huge crowd at the station. Then he learns that Mahatma Gandhi is in Bulasha town and he is about to speak. Then he finds Mahatma Gandhi on the big stage, speaking eloquently about the need of freedom, about the state of India, about the social, economical, religious conditions prevailing in the country. He listens. And while listening, there are so many questions still finding place in his mind. He understands that Mahatma Gandhi condemns caste system and discrimination against untouchables. He understands that Mahatma Gandhi is in his support as he is against the caste system, as he is against discrimination. He finds some consoling words. He finds a sigh of relief. At last, he feels that there is a man who can stand behind him. There is a man who can support him in his future. Like that, there are so many things wandering in his mind. He is physically wandering and his mind also moves here and there. He urges the Aryans to condemn the caste system also. Mahatma Gandhi, in his words, in his speech, advises the huge gathering to condemn caste system. Unless we are relieved from the chains of caste system, we cannot become human beings. By birth we are human beings. Human beings means helping one another. I would like to recollect R.K. Narayan's popular words. What is life unless we serve and help each other? Here, humanity, instead of building bridges, it is building walls in the form of caste, in the form of caste, in the form of religion, in the form of region. These things are temporarily created hurdles. We need to remove them. We need to build bridges in the form of love, in the form of harmony, in the form of empathy. Then only entire humanity can fight against things which are danger to the very existence of human beings. Mahatma Gandhi pleads again and again that caste system, discrimination are the two evil thoughts to evil practices that certainly damage humanity. He listens to them, he listens to the valuable words of Mahatma Gandhi and silently understands what the inner concept of these words, and he finds the people still following these systems and how many people understand the message of Mahatma Gandhi. Afterwards, he finds two educated people discussing Mahatma Gandhi's inspirational speech. One of them is a lawyer, finds Gandhi's ideas impractical and silly. So, one is a lawyer. He vehemently opposes Mahatma Gandhi's speech and criticizes his speech and feels that the words of Mahatma Gandhi will not last long and tradition always wins. The other one, being a poet, strongly disagrees and says untouchability is a barbaric practice that cannot be continued. So we find a conversation between two personalities. One being the lawyer supports caste system, supports tradition. The other one being a poet opposes untouchability and says untouchability, discrimination against lower caste people is a barbaric act. You see, Mahatma Gandhi's speech is able to inspire, is able to bring a radical change in a poet, and he tries to follow Mahatma Gandhi's words. Baka, having listened to the speeches of these two gentlemen, he finds another man in his support. First one being Mahatma Gandhi, second one being a poet. Though Baka understands the little of their sophisticated conversation, he hears the lawyer mention that flush toilets will soon be brought to India. This invention, he says, will eliminate much of the need of untouchable class, the only ones permitted to handle them, human waste. You see, so in the discussion, as both the participants in the discussion are educated people, being little bit illiterate, Baka is unable to find the true sense of the meaning in their conversation. And he also understands that Western toilets soon reach India, which makes the work of, untouchables quite easy. Baka feels a surge of hope and rushes home to tell his family what has heard. Then immediately he would like to inform what he has seen, what he has heard. Then he goes very fast with new thoughts, with new feelings. He reaches home. Then this is then he reaches home and informs everyone about the Gandhi speech and the discussion between the two gentlemen and the arrival of Western toilets. All these things he would like to inform his family members. So Anand, so Mulkraj Anand, in his wonderful fictional work, brings out inhuman, barbaric practices prevalent in our country, how these practices made lower caste people suffer extremely in the hands of rich people.
రూపాయల నుంచి 20 రూపాయలు 30 రూపాయలు అట్లా అయింది అనుకోండి, ఆటోమేటిక్గా ఏమవుతుంది, ధరల స్థాయి ఎక్కువగా పెరిగితే ఆ ఉత్పత్తి చేసేవాడు ఉత్పత్తిదారుడు ఉత్పత్తి